free to go. Starting the recording right now. And we're going to do a lot of review today from chapter 13 and 14. Just to remind you, we are still covering learning module 8 on metabolism. And that is chapters 13 and 14. So we did the same module last week. I know that many of you already put your discussion and quiz. However, the discussion and quiz for learning module 8 is actually due this Friday, the 12th. So if you haven't done it, you have till Friday to complete that. Also, if you want to go back and update it, if you want to check, make sure you have all parts of the discussion completed. Most of you are good at answering every part of the discussion questions. Some of you tend to leave out one part or another. I do look to make sure that you're answering all parts and that all parts are thoroughly answered. This week for Learning Module 8, the discussion question has 5 parts. Let's look at it real quick. I'll show you my screen. If by chance, class, that my screen sharing inadvertently stops, please alert me to that. So here's the discussion for this week. You, number one, need to list your total metabolism. Now, most of you are good with doing that. Remember, your total metabolism is 3 parts: basal metabolic rate, activity, and thermic effect of food. I believe in my online class, a lot of people were just putting basal metabolic rate. That's just the calories to stay alive. Remember, we need 3 parts to a total metabolism. Make sure your answer for this part 1 of the discussion here is your total metabolism. So add your BMR plus activity or energy needs plus thermic effect of food. Does anyone have questions on how to find your total metabolism?
So I actually did the discussion early before that, and I realized that, yeah, we needed the 3 parts. Was it okay that I just added it in like a reply?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. If you need to update your discussion, reply back to the actual post, the first post you made, because I will read all of them. I read all the discussions. Okay. I guess it's good and bad. The good part is if I'm not writing back to you, then typically you have it correct. If you do your discussion early enough in the week and I have time to read it and notice you did something wrong, I will tell you to fix it. And then you could go back and fix that. By Friday morning, once I'm done grading on Friday mornings, then if you do your discussion really late Friday, which like half of my students have always done their discussions Friday nights, I won't have time to tell you or nudge you to say you could correct this. So you're just going to get the grade you get. But definitely, you can't delete your posts, but you will be able to make as many posts as need be to update it. So then the second part is list whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, or stay the same weight. Remember, you're going to fall in one of these 3 categories. And then we're getting into weight control, which we'll do quite a bit today and also Thursday. But be honest here, just list what you're currently doing. What are you doing in terms of trying to lose weight, trying to gain weight, or trying to stay the same weight? Just be general in what you're doing right now. Things change over time. I know a lot of our behaviors changed from COVID. You know, we may have gone to a fitness center or gone to group fitness classes, and now all of a sudden due to COVID, we had to change what we did. And some people, including myself, had a hard time adjusting, but maybe you've come up with new things that you currently do. We're going to review the theories of weight control again today because I felt like we kind of we covered them all last week, but I want to make sure you really understand it. I don't want to go too fast on that. So there were the 4 theories of weight control. You're going to list one which you think fits you the best. So when we review that today, just kind of pay attention. Which one do you think your body follows more than others? Now this one, I kept it in here. You know, I mentioned last week if we were on campus, I would have taken your body composition, and then we would have been able to see whether we needed to adjust that at all in terms of, do we want to gain body fat, lose body fat, or stay where we're at? Just know what normal is, what normal body fat is. Because can anyone tell me what normal is for a woman? Normal body fat for a woman. You can write it in the chat room or raise your hand and verbally state that. So our bodies are about 60% water, and then how much is fat for a woman? That would be within, you know, normal healthy ranges of body fat. Anyone? How about male? Does anyone know what normal is for male? Journey.
For women, it's 20 to 30% body fat.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and just think 10 less for a guy. So even if you only remember one of those intervals, the difference is 10%. So the woman has between 20 and 30%. Remember, over 30% would be considered obesity. Younger women should be toward the lower range, up to 20% is. Every decade, that percent will go up as we lose some muscle fibers. Remember, we can't stop aging, but we could slow it down. So every decade, whether that's 40s, 50s, 60s, it's okay to be towards the higher end of the 20s. What we don't want is women 30 or higher for body fat, okay? Then for men, it's 10% less. So guys, 10 to 20% is normal body fat. Again, younger people, teenagers, 20s, should be the lower end, you know, the lower end of the teens. And then as the person ages, it's okay to get closer to the 20. So we're looking at 17, 18% body fat. Obesity is considered 20% or higher for a man. Let me get, and I'm not trying to quiz you, I'm just trying to gauge, guys, if you're understanding the material. What would be probably the number one and two things somebody could do to prevent an increase in body fat as they age? And that might even be for me telling you, how do we make sure our metabolism stays fast as we age? What could we do?
Maintain proper caloric intake based on like your current weight and activity level.
Very good. So you've kind of said both of them, right? We have to make sure we're eating healthy, and we have to make sure we're doing activities, exercises. What are the two type of exercises? And which one really impacts your BMR a lot? What are the two type of activities or exercises we're looking for?
Resistance, like weight resistance.
Yes, correct. Yep, correct. That's probably the number one thing people can do to keep their metabolism fast as they age. Make sure you're doing resistance training. Make sure you're lifting weight. And again, that could be your own body weight. It's called calisthenics, using your own body as resistance when we're working out. And be unique with that, okay? You can watch videos on TV. Maybe you go outside and do different things. I love the outside exercise equipment. Does anyone have this outside exercise equipment in the parks by their house? Again, I'm in Westchester, and we actually have 3 parks now that has the outdoor exercise equipment where you're walking, you know, on a walking path, and then every so often they have like an outdoor fitness machine. Does anybody else have that in their neighborhoods? Anastasia? I see that some in Northlake, a couple people are saying in Northlake they have that. LaGrange has some. Those are really cool. I like them for many different reasons, right? You don't have to pay to use them usually. I'm going to have to check out the one in Northlake. That sounds really cool. Okay, so make sure, guys, that, that's incorporated. If you were to say to someone, how do I speed up my metabolism? That's the answer. I just think a lot of people don't do resistance training. I think in addition, people assume they're eating healthy, but maybe don't know the specifics of what that means until they take perhaps a nutrition class or really get into the diet analysis using ESHA, using a diet analysis program, because we've learned that people tend to be inaccurate in assuming what nutrients they're eating until you really look at it. And the fifth part of your discussion here is just what are your recommendations? Just, one or two sentences. Are you going to change anything based off of your diet analysis? I'm not looking for you to put your whole 3-page summary there. Just a really quick one or two sentences in terms of your impression of the summary. All right. Now, before we review the theories of weight control, I want to make sure, I'm almost afraid to ask this, if this ESHA program is working for you guys. I have 75 nutrition students. It's about 20 in this class. I would say about 8 people said the program's not working for them. Who has had an issue with this program if you're launching it in Firefox?
I have. I was really shocked. Like, I downloaded Firefox and I removed the privacy and security settings, and it still didn't work. It still says session is unauthorized.
Yeah, I'm checking mine on Firefox right now. I'm going to assume the rest of you it's working just because I haven't heard anything from you guys. But I'm fearful that more people are just not telling me. So David's been having issues on and off. I have not had any issues. Watch me have an issue today when I'm launching it. I've not had any issues. And actually last semester it worked fantastic. Not one student had issues. So I don't know what the problem is. I have been emailing the tech department from ESHA probably 5-6 times a day since it was first reported to me. Again, my last email to them was last night at about 8 o'clock. And they give me like generic responses.
It's so weird that it's only like compatible with Firefox as well. Like, do they have any input on any other search engines or different things that use it?
No, I've talked to them about and I appreciate you guys' patience. We've only used this site about 1 year. I think we started using it last summer. So I appreciate your patience in me trying to intervene here as well and communicate back and forth with them. But I've told them it only worked on Firefox and not Google.
It works on Firefox, but it doesn't save the profile, so you have to do it in one session.
Really? That's problematic too, because I buy licenses from these people, and if you're creating a new session each time you go in, I wonder if that's using up a new license each time. So I don't like that either. But I appreciate any feedback you could give me to try to help solve these problems that we are having. Can you raise your hand if it's worked okay for you? And I'm hoping that people are just not telling me that there's a problem on Safari. I'm still trying to find a good program. I thought this was going to be it. I was actually recommended this product from Dominican University.
It's interesting. You think I could try Safari on my phone? I wonder.
Do you have it on your phone?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
Any feedback you guys can give me, I will relay back to them. The first two people that reported a problem last week about this time actually got access, and they don't even know how. It just started working for them, which is the weirdest thing. Jaslyn, is it not working on anything for you? And Anastasia, I know you and I have been discussing that. Jaslyn, it's not working for you either? Okay. If need be, we're going to extend the deadline for the due date on this, but I really want you guys to access it because it's so important to know how to use something like this. Let me put it to you this way. Raise your hand if you still feel like you can't access it to do the project, and then I will just count that and tell them how many people are still having problems in this particular class. Raise your hand if you're still having problems. So 4, anybody else? 5. Oh my gosh. So weird. Okay, so 5 people are having problems. Because when I look here, you can see my screen. When I look here, it is working. I panic when it comes to technology because I just fear that this is going to happen and I don't know how to fix it. And I'm not a person that wants to put stress on any of my students. The government used to have a free website. And they took it down about 2 years ago, which is even more upsetting to me. There is an alternative, Anastasia. I should mention this to you. It's not. There's a free app that you can use called MyFitnessApp, and that will tell you calories, carbs, protein, fat, and maybe about 5 other nutrients like sodium and fiber. So you can use that MyFitnessPal app. Let me type it in here. We did that in the past.
That's what I've been using, and I was like hoping I could just transcribe what I have from my journal on MyFitnessPal to ExtraTrack, but like I can't get on ExtraTrack.
If you want to use MyFitnessPal app, you can do so. I was trying to get you guys access to a program that allowed you to analyze every nutrient, and the ESHA does do that, like every single vitamin and mineral. The MyFitnessPal app, like I said, will do total calories, carbs, protein, fat, and maybe about 5 other nutrients like fiber, sodium, and things like that. You can certainly use that if you're comfortable with using that. I used to use the website on my Fitbit. If you have a Fitbit, their website can be utilized for this. Both Fitbit and MyFitnessPal app, if you pay, I don't want you to pay this, but I'm just telling you for future reference, if you're a professional and you're looking for another source, MyFitnessPal app and Fitbit have a upgrade, and I think it's something like $50 a year to get every nutrient. I don't want you guys to have to pay to do this. That's my point in trying to find an alternative. So if you want to download the MyFitnessPal app, I'm still going to work with ESHA to try to get you access to it, whether that takes a week or 2, because I think you deserve to be able to use that. The school has paid $15 per student to allow you to use that. So I'm going to try to get that to work for you guys. Like I said, the U.S. government had a free website. It was fantastic. And they took it down. And I just don't understand for the life of me why they would take it down. It was called Super Tracker. They stopped using it in 2018. So here on this website is a couple of alternatives people are using. Maybe I'll email this to you guys and see.
It does work on my Safari.
What is it called? The ESHA's working on Safari?
Yeah, on my phone. I have an iPhone. I don't have a Mac computer, but I do have Safari on my iPhone and it works. That's interesting.
Okay, well, that's good. You guys, if it hasn't worked for you, maybe download that Safari app. And I will relay that information to Asha. If we could get it to work on something for you guys, even if it's the Safari app rather than Firefox, that would be beneficial. I'm going to email you this link in case you want to investigate other options. I have obviously not found a great one yet in 2 years. Okay. That should email to you guys. So if you want to use the MyFitnessPal app, like Yusuf suggested, you can do that too. I'm just mad at the government too for taking down a free website that did all of this for you guys. And it was a great website. But all right. Is there any other questions on that? I will email Asha, tell them some of the problems, tell them that, it's been working on Safari. If those of you who it's not working for, if you try to download Safari and it starts working, let me know so I could tell them that. I want to review the theories of weight control. And then what we're going to do Thursday is brainstorm about weight control in terms of concrete advice we could give people who are trying to lose weight or gain weight. No, the first thing that we're going to do if we're trying to help someone gain or lose weight is, once we get to know them, we're going to take their body composition and determine if a woman is 20% or higher in body fat, we can help them lose weight. If a guy is 10%, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. If a woman is 30% or more in body fat, we can help them lose weight. If a guy is 20% or more in body fat, we can help them lose weight. On the other side of it, let's say we have a woman who is under 20% body fat. Well, we can help that person gain weight. A guy under 10%, we can help that person gain weight. Once they're within normal ranges, it's hard to change because your body knows that that's the healthy range to be in and it should stay there. So it's going to fight you. And that's why some people do, you may look at somebody who appears to be of normal weight and they say, well, I can't lose weight, I can't gain weight. Well, maybe, that's not healthy what they're trying to do. So always have a starting point. Is it healthy or is it safe to change this person's weight? That's always the first thing to do. Okay. Next, we would do a program like Esha. We're looking for two huge things with Esha. One is just total calories. How many calories is their body burning in a day? And that total calories is your total metabolism, BMR plus activity plus thermic effective food. You guys know that. For every student in this class should know their total metabolism right now. If we went to the general public at Triton College and say, what's your total metabolism? Most people would have no idea. They may guess 2,000 calories a day because that's what a food label almost should say errantly reported years ago. They say, based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. Well, we know everybody is different. I don't think anybody in this class has exactly 2,000 calories as their total metabolism. But you need to know that. You should understand now it's probably impossible to lose or gain weight without knowing your total metabolism. And that's based on these theories of weight control. So we've got their body comp, we've got their total metabolism. We can alter in terms of what calories they eat, we can alter that based on their goals. And then we're also going to look into each individual nutrient by itself. Because there are cases of people that if they are above recommendation for one nutrient or another, that's impeding their weight control. And the biggest ones that come to me are water, right? If you're dehydrated, what does that do to your body weight? Somebody tell me. If we're dehydrated, what happens to our body weight? What do you think? If I'm chronically dehydrated,
We're gonna gain.
you would gain weight. That is correct. When we're dehydrated, our basal metabolic rate slows down. So you're not burning a lot of calories. So that's important to note. We got to have enough water in our system to run our metabolism properly. Okay. Another big one is fiber. If you are under fiber intake, what do you think that's going to do to your weight? Anybody? You can write it in the chat room too.
If we don't have enough fiber,
Correct.
it's interesting. I've gained in the past week because I haven't had a lot of fiber.
And have you felt a little hungrier than normal?
Yeah, I had to get 2 root canals and I have to get a tooth extraction, so I can't chew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've pretty much been eating ramen noodles.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I feel bad for you. Well, hopefully that's just temporary situation. Now I'm afraid to go to the dentist. I haven't gone to the dentist in probably over a year because of this COVID thing. But if we're not eating enough fiber, what that's going to do, it could potentially lead to increased body weight because low fiber diets will cause the person to have an increased appetite and they'll tend to overeat. And that happens a lot when the person isn't having whole grains, vegetables, fruits. With the high fiber, they tend to overeat the processed foods that don't contain the fiber. And then another big nutrient I want you guys to look at with your diet analysis is sodium. What would happen if we're really high on sodium? And I'm telling you trends. I know that a lot of people in the US are dehydrated. A lot of people don't eat enough fiber, and a lot of people eat way too much sodium. What happens to your body weight if you are well above the 2,300 milligram per day recommendation for sodium? Let's see what we've got. Somebody put something in the chat room, I think. You would gain weight, and that is correct, Journey. Because what happens is that sodium holds the water in the body, and the water weight goes up more than what we would need. So simple things like that, but I guarantee the general public doesn't realize that, is you can eat the correct amount of calories, but if small nutrients are off, that could be kind of backfiring a person and causing them not to have adequate weight control. Let's take a look, and this is a little review from last time on these theories of weight control to make sure you understand them. What I can say is you may find that one of these fits you more than another. But for some people, they may say, well, yes, I feel like my body follows set point, but also a bit of genetics as well. So you can have multiple theories that your body is following. It doesn't have to only fit under one category. And I think environmental factors probably impact all of us. What we're doing in our life will impact what you weigh. What we're surrounded by will impact what we weigh. Another thing with that environment is our culture, how we were raised, what were we eating when we were kids. Kids don't really have control over what they eat. They just eat what they're given. That impacts things. There was another environmental one. Well, certainly where we live, right? If we have access to healthy food, or if we have access to fast food restaurants, that will all impact it. Let's look at caloric balance theory. I think it's the easiest one to understand. Calories in and calories out. This is an image from your textbook in chapter 13. If you have an energy deficit, meaning if the calories in are less than the calories you're expending, you should expect weight loss, right? If you're eating less calories than you're burning. When we say how many calories are you burning, that's your total metabolism. So think what your number was. We did that together. Does anyone have questions on how to find their total metabolism? All right. So if you eat less than that, you should be losing weight. Here on the bottom If we're eating more than our total metabolism, we're going to be gaining weight. Okay. And our environment sometimes puts us in a situation like this guy's just sitting watching TV, that we're not burning as many calories as generations before us used to burn, especially with COVID going on now. I just think a lot of people, I think it's getting better in general. Our society is getting better with managing the COVID situation. But when it first started a year ago, most people didn't even leave their house. I mean, we didn't know what was going on. Nothing like this ever happened to us before. And so our calories out really decreased as a society. And they always talk about secondary problems that might occur with a pandemic like this. People not going to the doctor, people not doing their regular activities and exercises, could have caused over the last several months some people to gain weight. But if you're eating more than your total metabolism, you would gain. And then the middle one is where we want everybody eventually to be, where we are eating about the same amount of calories that we're burning. Now, I don't think anybody in class should ever count their calories every day of their life. I don't want you to. What I want us to do is get to a point where we know about how many calories our body is burning and run a diet analysis every so often, once a year, once every other year, not all the time. But where am I at? If my body is burning 3,000 calories a day, how close am I coming to that? Am I eating 5,000? Am I eating 1,500? A lot of people can't figure that out. They can't guess unless they literally did a program like ESHA. In the meantime, if ESHA is not working for you, remember I said try Safari, like Talea mentioned, but try that MyFitnessPal app. That will at least give you total calories, if not a breakdown of every nutrient. I just don't think people could estimate. They think they're not overeating, and they are. Or a lot of students in my class think they're eating 2,000 calories a day, and when they input the information in the diet analysis tool, it's coming out that they're only eating like 900 calories a day. And at that point, you can actually undereat. And if that small amount of calories kind of stunts your BMR, remember fasting will slow down your BMR, you could actually hold too much weight because you're not eating enough. A little contrary to this theory, I think that fits more in the set point theory. But there is plenty of people that are not eating enough calories. They try to tell me that they're trying everything to lose weight and they can't. But it's simply because they're not eating enough to keep that BMR from slowing down. Which kind of brings us to our next theory here. Oops. The set point theory. I remember once a student told me, I'm weight training, I'm doing cardio, I'm eating healthy, I can't lose weight. I told her, okay, let's look at your diet analysis. I said, you got to eat more food. She was coming in at like 800 calories a day and her total metabolism was like 2,200. So she started to eat more healthy food and she lost weight. And no one, unless they took a nutrition class, is probably going to comprehend that. Unfortunately, what a lot of people in our society think is, if I'm overweight, I'll just stop eating and that will help. But it actually makes it worse. You have to eat, and I've said this, maybe this is the time, you have to give your body energy to run that BMR and to do your activities. If you're not giving the body energy, it's just going to try to shut down. So focus on eating positive, healthy food. What should I eat? What do I want to eat? What do I want to eat a lot of to give my body that energy? But we get to the set point. The brain would like to maintain your body weight within a narrow range. And I kind of refer that back to the thermostat in your house. Sometimes you put the thermostat at 70 degrees and sometimes the heat kicks on, sometimes air conditioning kicks on, but it stays at 70 degrees. Think of that as the set point theory. Your body wants to be a certain weight, and sometimes the metabolism kicks on, sometimes the metabolism kicks off and wants to keep you at that weight. The same thing happens with your appetite. If you go several days without eating, your appetite's going to increase because your body's trying to get you to eat. So for the set point theory, if we really want to help someone lose weight, the thing with the set point is we can't make big changes in terms of the caloric intake in comparison to their total metabolism. So the total metabolism is 3,000 calories a day. We're only going to tell them to eat a small change off of that. So if they're trying to lose weight, we tell them maybe eat 2,750 calories, 250 deduction. If they're trying to gain weight, we maybe add 500 calories. Tell them to eat 3,500 calories a day, but no big variance from that total metabolism. Because if you go and make huge changes off your total metabolism in terms of your caloric intake, you're not going to be successful. And I was just reading some research prior to coming into class today, and I can tell you from the CDC and the World Health Organization and all of these research, even universities, they say that the people who lose weight and keep it off are the ones that lose it gradually and make small changes. Exercise a tiny bit more, eat a tiny bit less. If we're making huge changes, it's going to be hard to maintain that for long periods of time. All right. Any comments or questions on that? Anyone have an example of someone that successfully was able to lose weight according to one of these two theories that we've covered, caloric balance or set point, or couldn't lose or gain weight based off of one of these theories? Any examples?
I definitely lost weight when I increased my caloric intake, which was shocking to me. It kind of just changed where those calories were coming from. Actually, this past week and a half has actually been the first time in the full year that I've kind of changed my eating habits, that I've really reached like negative results as far as gaining a large amount of weight in a short time. And part of it is because with the pain that I've gotten from like the dental work, I really haven't had the motivation to exercise, let alone move. Like it just, I've been on so many painkillers and antibiotics. I also had like a bad reaction to antibiotics this past week, and then not being able to eat what I usually eat, like the oatmeal and the high fiber food. I've just been having like salty soup and anything that's soft. I've been also having like fruit smoothies and stuff like that. But, so even though my calories are still relatively within range, I'm not getting really any nutrients, and my carbs are like insane right now because of things like noodles and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you could see, how different things that happen. This is a great example how different things that happen in our life will impact our weight. And some of that we can or cannot control, but it's good to know what's going on. What can happen, especially I know that a bunch of you want to be nurses. This would be a situation where a person's health, we talk about environment, like in this one theory, I don't think we need to even review it again, but we talk about environmental factors. People that are hurt, sick, they can have issues with their weight based off of those, primary problems that they may be ensuing. I had surgery on my back in December. I think I've gained 10 pounds. And I just told my husband, this goes to show you, that I have to work hard at keeping the weight off. And if I don't exercise, I get big, So things like that are, primary factors impacting our weight as well. And even though we know all this educational stuff, what can we do in a person's life to assist them, right? Hopefully it's temporary. Mine is temporary. I think, Talia, with your dental work, hopefully that's temporary, and you get back on track right away. I know that one of the issues with set point, I'll go back to this, is a lot of people that I've met will say, I'm overweight, so I'm just not going to eat breakfast. That will give me one less meal a day, and maybe that will help me lose weight. Or they skip lunch, they skip a meal. Two problems with this. Their metabolism will slow down, the BMR slows down during that period where they're not eating. And then they tend to be so hungry at that next meal that they overeat at the next meal. Every nutritionist, including myself, will tell you 3 meals a day with all the food groups at the meal. You should have fruit and vegetable at every meal. You should have healthy fat and healthy protein at every meal, hopefully whole grains. If we start lacking one of those food groups at each meal, it could cause you to overeat at the next meal. It could impact your appetite and make changes like that. All right, let's get to genetics. I have a quick video I'm going to have you guys show. The genetic theories change every couple of years. And I reread the textbook this morning in chapter 13. There are so many new genes that they're finding that will impact our weight. And I do think genetics is very strong in our health, in our weight control. I do think we can make changes. And for some families, it's going to be a little harder than others. I think we all know people that no matter what they eat or drink, they're of normal weight. But we also know people that are underweight and they struggle. And we know people who are overweight and they struggle. And so we do know that genetics plays a huge role in what we currently weigh and our current health. But what I'm teaching are lifestyle changes that could impact that. And it is generational. Like, think for yourself. You've got your genes from your parents, so some of their traits are being passed off to you, and some of that is weight control. If you get yourself in a situation where your weight is under control, then your offspring as well will have a better chance at having easier time with the weight control. So let's watch a quick video on genetics. It's not very long.
Sometimes it seems like everywhere we look, we're exposed to adverts about dieting, urging us to lose weight. Globally, the diet industry rakes in over £150 billion a year, and that figure is rising fast. But at the same time, worldwide obesity levels are also growing, and that matters because obesity now kills more people than malnutrition. So what's going on? Why are self-control and dieting alone unable to stop the growing obesity epidemic? Research by physiologists suggests there are important biological factors at play, namely that some of us are simply more genetically predisposed to become obese than others. The root causes of obesity can be summed up like this: food intake minus energy burned equals fat stored. So obesity occurs when we consume more than we burn and fat mass builds up. But what happens when genetics are thrown into the mix? Our understanding of this field has been advanced by scientific experiments involving a species of obese mouse. These mice are always hungry and won't stop eating. They never feel full. The mice weigh 3 times more than normal mice because of a defect in a single gene. Scientists identified that gene as one that codes for a hormone called leptin. Leptin is made by fat cells and signals to the brain how much fat mass is in the body. Without it, the brain mistakenly believes the body is starving, so the mice keep eating, even though they've had enough food. Scientists translated this finding to humans when a 4-year-old boy with the same genetic mutation became severely obese. With regular leptin injections, his overeating stopped, and by the age of 8, he was no longer overweight. Studies of twins have helped us to identify the genetic basis of obesity. Identical twins who come from the same egg and the same DNA have very similar body sizes, but twins that come from different eggs show much more variability. These studies show that while single genes are occasionally responsible, most obesity cases are caused by a combination of genes working together. Understanding the causes of obesity is far from simple, but genetic factors such as leptin play an important role to regulate food intake and body weight. So self-control alone is rarely enough to overcome the powerful effects of genes. That's why physiologists are working hard to assess how a healthy diet and exercise, combined with a better understanding of how genes influence obesity, can help turn the tide on this global epidemic.
And that video talked a lot about one particular issue with genetics, and that was leptin. But there are more. And I want to just make sure you can find this in your text. This is chapter 13, and then it's in part 4, where it says here, genes influence the body weight in different ways. And that one that they were talking about with leptin, leptin is supposed to be secreted from your fat cells after you eat and then calm your appetite. And in some individuals, that is not working. It's like insensitive, like insulin doesn't work for diabetics. They're thinking leptin might not work for people that have this obesity gene. They have leptin, just not working right. This thrifty gene hypothesis, I call this the caveman theory, where years ago when people were hunters and gatherers and literally were living outside, they had to have a slow metabolism to survive, because if their body's metabolism was fast, they'd burn off all the food that they ate and they would have no energy left, because they only ate they didn't eat every day. They may only eat like once or twice a week. And so they had to really slow down their metabolism to survive. And then that passed down through generations. And now that we're eating every day, it's kind of, if we're eating every day and our metabolism is still slow, it's going to set you up to a situation where you're going to have challenges with obesity. Here's the set point theory. If you're not eating enough, or, you're going to actually put on, if you're not eating enough, you'll slow your BMR down. If you're eating way too much, on the opposite side, if you're eating way too much, you're going to speed your BMR up, and it won't work. I don't like this one very much, but they say, the whole theory about this protein leverage is if you're not eating enough food, again, your metabolism is going to slow down. So this talks about all the different hormones. I'm not going to go over all of them. All the different hormones and the proteins in your body that could be impacting your genetics. Here they're talking about neurotransmitters even. Lots of different and new up-and-coming thing about genetics. And then we get to our socio-cultural factors or environmental factors. Okay. So those are your primary theories of weight control. That should have been a review for most of you that have been coming to class here, the 4 theories of weight control. We're going to be able to use them on Thursday to help someone lose or gain weight. Couple of issues here. In terms of weight loss or weight gain, this hasn't changed in a long time, but 1 pound equals 3,500 calories. So if we can make a deficit of 3,500 calories, we're really aiming for that over a week. Right? Safe weight loss or weight gain per week should be 1 to 2 pounds. So if you are trying to lose weight, you want to somehow get a deficit of 3,500 calories per week, not per day, obviously. Your total metabolism might be 3,000 calories a day. Even if you cut 100 calories a day, just off of that, and say eating 2,900 calories a day, you should lose a pound of weight. I'm doing easy math, but in 35 days. All right. So we often recommend cutting like 250 or 300 calories off of your total metabolism in terms of consumption of food, but also exercising. So burning more calories. Let's say we cut 200 off your total metabolism and then tell you to exercise to get to the point where you're burning 150 calories a day. So 200 deficit of eating, 150 excess exercise, that's 350 calories a day. It would take you 10 days then to lose a pound of weight. All right. So we want to do it slowly. We don't want to make big changes off of that total metabolism. But this is the safe weight loss per week. You may see some, when we talk about eating disorders, we're going to talk about morbidly obese people. You may see them actually within the first week losing quite a bit of weight. I've seen issues of 10, 15 pounds in 1 week when they first start. A lot of that is if we cut their sodium intake, they're going to lose water weight because their body is holding way too much water, and if they're eating 4,000 or 5,000 milligrams of sodium a day and we get them down to 2,000, the water's going to come out and they're going to lose a ton. But in terms of fat loss, maybe 1 to 2 pounds a week. The same thing with gain. We're not going to have somebody be able to gain much faster than this in a healthy way. We'll talk more about the weight loss Thursday, but we'll have like a kind of a group. I'm going to present to you some materials on obesity and underweight, and then you'll have time to work in a group. So when you're in your group, prepare yourself now for when you're in your group. We're going to go over why people are overweight, why people are underweight. We're going to brainstorm in your group. So be able to come up with a couple ideas of why you think people are overweight, why do you think people are underweight, and then how to help them. How do we help someone gain weight? How do we help someone lose weight? You can certainly use some of the material from chapter 13 and 14, some of the material from this, but your own ideas too. I'm not looking for textbook answers because we have problems with weight control in our country. And if it was just as easy as doing what I'm saying, the problem would be gone. But people don't always do this, or there's other factors that play into their environment or genetics. I want to go over some controversial weight loss method. And then the same thing with being underweight here. Sometimes people are trying to lose weight. Why did it go there? Hold on. Some people are trying to lose weight and they do things that might not necessarily be healthy to lose that weight. Why is this acting funny for me? Have you guys heard of any fad diets, and maybe that are current now? Any fad diets?
Oh my God, I've tried so many. Do y'all remember the lemonade diet where it was lemon, cayenne pepper, and maple syrup?
Oh my gosh.
You basically just drank that all day.
Yeah, that doesn't sound healthy. You're not alone in saying that you've tried fad diets. Lots of people do it. I tried Weight Watchers for a while. My friends convinced me to do that. Although Weight Watchers, if I was to pick one fad diet that's probably the safest, that might be it. But it's, you get tired of counting and measuring and doing it in that style. One time I had my entire class come to school with a new fad diet that they read about. One of them was a wine diet, and the person, all they did was drink wine. Not the student didn't, but that was the claim of the fad diet. What are some other ones you've heard about lately? Every 5 years I hear a new one.
There were a few that weren't necessarily that bad, but they are if you have health problems. There was one where you basically had grapefruit, turkey bacon, and boiled eggs. The majority of your meals, and then cabbage soup. They combined the cabbage soup diet with this grapefruit diet.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at it from a nutritional angle, yes, you're getting fruits, vegetable servings, and your protein and different things like that. But it was very monotonous because you're eating, that's all you could eat. Plus, for me, with all the eggs and the turkey bacon, my cholesterol and proteinuria was really bad.
Yeah. That does happen with some of these fad diets. The best way to identify a fad diet and run away from it, guys, if it limits a food group. If it tells you don't eat a particular food group, I would run away from that diet. We need all the food groups. And if you look at the My Plate plan, you look at the Mediterranean diet, the DASH diet, the other cultural diets I have online, they all have the same food groups because we need those food groups. I'm looking here, the water detox diet, you drink water for like 3 days and no food. What would be wrong with that, class? Anastasia wrote in the chat room, you drink water for 3 days with no food. And it says, quote, shed weight and see instant results. What would be wrong with that diet? What might... Now remember, we talk about nutrition in terms of weight control and then in terms of health. Fad diets might temporarily allow you to lose weight, but are they good for your health? And I say temporarily because typically you're going to gain that weight back. I think it was Journey that says, what did Journey say in the chat room here? Increases your weight after 3 days. Increases your appetite. Well, certainly going on these fad diets, if you're cutting a ton of calories, according to the caloric balance theory, you would probably lose weight. But it's not sustainable. And then once you start eating your normal or older habits again, you're going to gain the weight back. And with that water diet, for sure, you're going to slow down your BMR. You slow down your BMR for 3 days, then you're like, okay, I can eat again. I lost my 5 pounds. You still have a slow BMR, and you end up gaining the 5 pounds and 2 more back. Those are the real problems with the fad diets. And every nutritionist will tell you, get to a point where you have a healthy lifestyle, where you don't need to diet. You're just eating most of your foods healthy. I talked a lot about drugs. Most of them are stimulant drugs. There are some supplements out there. If you're going to decide to take a supplement, whether it's for weight control, athletic performance, whatever, mental acuity, know what you're taking is my number one suggestion. Know what's in the product and the pros and cons of that product before you take it. I can't teach you every supplement. That could be an entire class. Know what the product is, read research, scientific research, not claims from someone selling the product, but what harm does it do to the body? What good could it potentially do to the body? And then make an educated decision on that. And then surgeries. If I asked you, do you know someone who has had a surgery to assist with them losing weight? I've probably known about 4 or 5 people. These are some of the ones that are being done right now. No one should rush into this. Typically, you get counseling for at least a year prior to even doing this type of surgery.
I know 2 twins who got it. It's interesting because they're both nurses. One got gastric bypass and the other one got the lap band. And it's interesting because the one who got the lap band, she's maintained weight loss. But the one who got the gastric bypass, basically, after she had her baby, she basically she's kept the weight. And it was just interesting because even though they're both like related, their approach to both was different. I feel like one really focused on the actual nutrition and like exercise part, and the other one, it seems like she really doesn't understand the nutrition portion because her child also is overweight now.
Which one doesn't understand the nutrition aspect? The gastric bypass or the lap
gastric
band?
bypass one.
Okay, yeah. Well, I wish, from what I understand, prior to these surgeries, people have to go through a lot of counseling and try conservative methods like diet and weight loss, diet and exercise. I wish they would make them take a nutrition class like you guys are in. Because if you do a radical procedure like this and then you don't know how to manage your behaviors afterward, I don't think it's ethical to even do that. You have to educate a person if you expect them to know what to do when they're done.
Yeah.
And there's risks to these. These are risky procedures. I do know like I said, maybe about 5 people that had it done. One of them died actually from chronic infection post-surgery. But they're just taking out the stomach here, the gastric sleeve or the bypass. They're literally taking out the stomach and tossing it aside and getting rid of it. And this one, they're trying to, I guess, mechanically make the stomach smaller. For most people, this would be a no-go, right? But let's take a person who's morbidly obese and they, you've seen issues of it. Hopefully we'll have time when we do eating disorders to watch a quick movie. They can't leave their house because they're so big. They're 30 years old and they have every chronic disease imaginable already. For someone in their shoes, maybe this is life-saving. And I've heard surgeons who do these procedures talk. And they're not going in just doing this to the random person who's 10, 20 pounds overweight, but they feel if the person is morbidly obese and that morbid obesity is causing them to have a life expectancy half of what normal is, then they feel like they're helping save that person's life by doing this. Let's be proactive and not get to that point. And I think education helps to prevent some of the obesity prior to getting to this point where the surgery might be necessary. But that's what these surgeries are. And then not to underestimate underweight. And you'll see this again, there's a very small portion of Americans that are underweight, more in other areas of the world. The USA does lead the world in obesity, but probably lesser so with the underweight problem. Because we have food and we have access to food. It's just sometimes not the right food. But being underweight, not so healthy either. And when we do our little group work Thursday, I'm going to ask you, what do you think causes that, being underweight, and what are some solutions to that as well? I know I talk a lot about overweight, and I think the only reason is because 75% of Americans are overweight, whereas only like 2% are underweight. So I tend to go more towards the one side. But there's plenty of people trying to gain weight in our society. And they may or may not be having success at doing that. The same lifestyle plans go whatever category you fall in, whether you're losing weight, gaining weight, or staying the same weight. We have to eat healthy. We have to do cardio. We have to do resistance training. Again, I just don't think people know exactly how much to eat. Doing a quick diet analysis every so many months will help you gauge where you're at. Are you under eating calories? Are you overeating calories? Are you where you need to be? Reading labels really quickly. I think some of us one time, might buy a product and be shocked at how much or little is in that product. But ultimately, we're trying to get normal body composition. And if we can educate ourselves on different things that might work for us, plus be proactive with our psychological health, I should say, I think education is key. We need to know what to do, but also giving ourselves the leniency and the ability to do that in a positive way. All right, I am stopping the recording for now. Thursday, I do want you to prepare yourself for Thursday. Again, focus on, how do I help someone lose weight? How do I help someone gain weight? We're going to see some stats on Thursday about obesity and underweight, and then we'll break out into groups and you're going to brainstorm. It doesn't have to be textbook material, but what do you personally think will help someone gain weight and help someone lose weight? In creating these solutions, you have to know what caused the problem in the first place. So half the time we'll spend saying, what causes someone to be overweight? What causes someone to be underweight? And then what are the solutions for those? Come with unique ideas. Don't just come with textbook, calories in, calories out. We know that. But what are other factors that impact weight control? By the time you leave Thursday, I want you to be able to help help someone form a plan that will help them lose or gain weight or stay the weight they're currently at. And that's what people pay big bucks for to nutritionists. They will pay someone to help them make a plan to lose weight, make a plan to gain weight, and make a plan to stay where you're at and stay healthy. So that's our goal for Thursday, okay? If you have questions, you can stick around. Otherwise, you are free to go. I think all of you, I'm not sure if anybody came in after attendance, but I think I might have all of you. There's 18. So have a good day, and I will see you guys on Thursday. See you Thursday. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna email you later about the ESSA thing. I'm still working on it on my phone and to make sure everything is working out. But if I could email you later just to make sure I got everything situated.
Definitely. I'll get back to you then.
Thank you.
I do have a meeting, I think, from 2 till like 4. But otherwise, outside of that time, I'll be able to get back to you right away.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
I have a question. So are we moving the due date back because of some of us not getting session not available?
Well, if you have access to it, I'm going to keep the same due date. If you don't have access to it, I'm not going to mark it late once you finally turn it in.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
because I've been having on and off problems where sometimes I do go on Firefox and it does say session unavailable.
Could you try that, Safari, and let me know if it works? I hope that's the solution.
Right now?
No, not right now. Whenever you have time. You could do it now. You can do it.
Try Safari.
Yeah, try Safari, because 2 people now told me it worked for them on that, but no other browsers.
Okay, I'll try that, and then if I do have an issue, I'll email you. If not, then I should be good.
Okay. Yeah, and don't worry about, I'm not going to mark you late and take points off if you don't have access to the ESHA. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I just wanted you to get access to the program and then be able to use it. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Anyone else have questions or comments?